Welcome to the DMF. I'm Justin Yance. This is part five.
I loved it. So good. Tell me a little bit about like how you were directing. You talked a little bit about, the lighting it. What was what's kind of the feel? What would you say you did different from Freak Talks About Sex?
A much more emphasis on the visuals.
Hmm.
That was one of the main things. I was like, I want to film is a visual medium and art it's a visual art, and I want to tell these not only tell the story visually, but evoke the archetypes and all of these things through imagery. Because imagery is the most important thing. Even in meditation, one of the biggest things you can do is focus on an image. Like if it's a tarot
Yeah.
card image or something that has so
Hmm.
much power and energy to it, if there's so much in it, that you don't try to interpret it with your rational brain and define what all the elements mean, but let the image give you the fullness of its wisdom and its insight. And so I wanted it to be one of those films. That's what I attempted to do, is
Hmm.
to just let the imagery inform. Like Antonioni does this a lot. He's not really in the mystical realm, but everything that he's trying to tell you about the characters and the story is coming through on how he frames them and what he puts behind them and where he places them. So that's another way where imagery can inform almost everything. Not what they're saying, not
Yeah.
what the story is, not what the plot is, just the imagery. And I was so into
Yeah.
that idea. And so I wanted to just create this beautiful, visually poetic film. That's what I
Yeah.
tried to do with it.
Yeah. Who you did. You did do that. I think you did. I mean, I don't think it's gonna resonate. It's not gonna resonate with everybody.
No,
And I think that's the mistake a lot of filmmakers will do. They try to capture everyone. It's like if you do that, then you're going to hurt the film. There's just no way to.
yeah,
You're either on board on that movie or you're
right,
not on board.
right.
There's nothing. There's nothing I could do to make you go, oh, okay. This
No.
like you're not you're.
Well, if I had injected this or that like element to try to bring in a slightly larger audience, those would have been dishonest elements.
Yeah, it would have hurt. Then I think it would have
And
hurt the film.
it would have hurt the film. You could detect it. There's something inauthentic about it. And I pick up on this all
Yeah,
the time when I'm watching movies. And if
yeah,
it's a film from a director who I know, or I will say, well, and I'll like point out some of the things that I felt were not working quite so well. And
yeah,
I always have this experience like, oh, that was the exact thing I was forced to put in. I didn't want to put it in. And this is,
yeah.
you picked up on the exact, this is always happening.
It's
So,
yeah. It's always this frustration. Yeah, the artist and the money.
yeah, yeah, right.
They want to. We talked about this a little bit. George Lucas said, they want a focus group. They want to almost pull the audience into into having a hit film, and it's like it doesn't work like that. You
Doesn't
don't
always
know what's going to
work.
resonate with.
Right. That's the
You
most
know,
frustrating and sad part, is that a lot of times that doesn't work.
no.
And sometimes it does, but not enough of a percentage, I think, to be, I don't know, to be so have so much faith in
Yeah.
that process. And then it's also, you've given up on anyone's vision at that point. Like there's no artist's
Yeah.
vision. It's just an
Yeah.
algorithm and a computer kind of making the movie or something.
Yeah, you're just somebody's coming in. They're like, okay, we've got this, and that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the scary thing. Is that where we're gonna go? Where they're gonna be like, let's poll the audience and see what they want. Now we'll now we'll go and make that movie. Hey, will you make that movie? This is what we need in this movie. Like it's not coming from a
The
creative
worst,
place.
the worst, most extreme recent example I can think of that was Rise of Skywalker. I
Oh,
just,
good.
I
Yeah.
just could
Oh,
not believe it.
oh, yeah. No.
It
That was
was
so
so
sad.
painful, and it was just all shoved in there, and you could just see it. Like, oh, they got to throw that in because the audience, they got to throw
Yeah.
that line because the audience remembers it from Empire Strikes Back. They got to throw that character and just shove them in
It
and shove
it
this in and shove that in.
retconned everything they had done in that last one, where I thought they were setting up the Kylo Ren character to be the real villain. I thought he was going to be the one that you can't redeem. And I thought that would have been a really interesting
That would have
dynamic to play.
add
And then
something to it. Yeah.
and then they're like, no, we're gonna bring back the emperor and all this other stuff. I'm like,
Because it's familiar. Everyone remembers the emperor.
But we've already, it's not done well. It almost hurts the other films because now it's like, okay, so Darth Vader didn't actually defeat the emperor. It's somebody else. It's so
as far as
bad.
I mean, and this is a
the horses
cliche,
on the ships and everything when they were trying. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, why is it? And they always come up with this. Okay, we got to get this ship because if we get this ship, all these other ships won't be able to. It's like, wouldn't these guys figure that out by now and be like, you know what? We're not going to have any weaknesses with our ship.
Yeah, right. It's
these ghost ships too. They're like supposed to be like mythical ships that don't, and it's like, oh, but we can take them out with this. It makes no sense. It's like all you have to do is sit there and ask these questions, and it's like, let's throw that script out. They made that.
Yeah. You're right. And at its core, it failed at the deepest thing, which is to like have is to understand like what the characters' arcs are and try to build them in something interesting.
Well, that's my problem with the Rey character. She has there's no journey she's really on. I don't feel like she changes as a character.
No, I think I feel like I'm kind to episode 7, only because when everything is being set up, and so your brain will go, ooh, this could go in this direction, or maybe it goes in that direction, and all these good ideas you have of where it's could go, and then it didn't do any of that. None of those great options. None of the 8 and 9 did not do any of those things. And then I'm like, then you go back and look at 7 and say, well, it's maybe only has potential because I can think of good places for it to develop, but the movie itself. Anyway, that's another conversation.
But I can remember sitting in there and just being like, how is this bad? And how does anyone enjoy this?
Painful.
This is this was just all. It was. I made myself see it twice because I was like, maybe I didn't like it this time. I sat there and I was like, oh, this is just as bad. This is even worse. I hate it even more. I hate this movie. I can't watch it. I'm just like, this was made by a committee. And then he's putting the helmet back on. And it's like the whole point, they had him take the helmet. He doesn't need the helmet anymore. But you're putting the helmet on so you can sell toys.
Yeah. Oh, you're so transparent. Yeah. So man, we've come a long way since Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah.
Back to what we had discussed before, that incredible era in American cinema that went from 1967 to about 82.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, you're right. That includes Empires. Yeah, the next one we are well into the 80s, and that's Return of the Jedi, and it's
a little bit
back
decline.
To
a little bit of a decline.
Yeah. His original idea was to do Revenge of the Jedi, but then he got cold feet on going that way, and it's just like, I wish he kind of went that way. I mean, I don't know. I don't. Now that the other movies are so bad, it's like, well, Jedi's not too bad, is it?
Oh yeah, and I agree with that. I agree. It has some great stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's not an Empire Strikes Back, but it has some.
No, it doesn't have the. I mean, a lot of people. If you look at that film, it sets up that reveal of Darth Vader as his father.
Yeah,
when he's in that dream world thing, he sees.
Oh yes, the cave
face
on Dagobah.
Yeah, the cave. Yeah, I'm like it sets. It's not like if you were paying attention, it makes perfect sense that he's there because it's already foreshadowing what's about to happen.
Yes,
and there's none of that in The Rise of Skywalker. All right,
I know, and that's the essence of Star Wars: is the mythical journey and the character having a spiritual development and facing all the challenges that go into that. That's the essence of Star Wars. But yeah,
well, it's the danger of somebody watching 3 movies and going, let's try and do that again, but with our committee. And it's like, you can't just do it. You can't just knock it out again just to, make people happy. It has to come from some real place.
Yeah, that's it.
And unfortunately, Rise of Skywalker feels like it's like, well, they didn't like the 7th one, and they didn't like the 8th one. We'll try this. We'll combine them all. And it's like, no, you serve no one.
Yeah.
Nobody's happy with this movie.
and you nailed it with it has to come from a real place, and whatever that the semantics is, the word, real place, honest place, an actual visionary,
There's no
inspired
honesty
place.
in there.
And that's the thing that I'm very sensitive to. I'm sure you are too. When I watch movies, you can sense like, oh, this isn't coming from a real place. It's coming from some other agenda, and it's just so obvious to me. And
I mean, if you did the polling thing, you're like, all right, we're gonna focus group the idea of doing Oppenheimer. Most of the audience wouldn't like that. I mean, that movie became successful by just different circumstances. I mean, it's a really good film, but the way that it was able to capture an audience is, that's like lightning in a bottle. You can't plan that.
No,
you can't.
no.
You can't like expect like people. It's something in the time. I mean, I think the Barbie thing, putting the two of them together as marketing.
Timing. There wasn't any other big thing coming out that was serious. The only other big thing was Barbie, which is not. If you're in the mood for a serious good movie, you would check out that.
They were able to put. Yeah, they were able to put like make it marry the two. I mean, it's kind of but my point is, it's just like you can't expect that every time. That's just you can take the temperature of an audience, like judging from the Super Bowl commercial for Deadpool 3, I can see the audience is excited for that. There's an excitement there. Now, is it good or not? We don't know
yet. Yeah.
We have no idea if it will be any good. It could be absolutely this. That's the danger. You see the trailer, and the trailer could be better than the film. Because they could just
or worse, or much worse. Sometimes,
worse. Yeah, like a Rise of Skywalker.
Sometimes you have an interest. Well, I guess, yeah. But sometimes, like a filmmaker who's trying to do something interesting will make his film, and then the trailer will try to make it look like some really shallow commercial actiony thing, and I wouldn't go.
Drive,
but then when
they
you
did that with Drive.
Yeah, and then when you watch the film, you're like, wait a minute, this is not like the trailer. This is like slow and interesting and kind of rich. So go either way.
So talk a little bit about directing the actors in One Day Like Rain, because they're really honest performances.
Yeah, well, some of these people were non-actors, like like the man who plays Ian, William Benz, with the white beard.
Oh, the guy with the beard. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew he was.
Yeah, and I think
but you made it work.
Clear. Yeah, there's someone who never thought about acting in their life, never acted, never wasn't even the focus. But it was just someone that I was able to remember. This is a very low budget movie. I mean, this is like all favors from everyone. So there's not, you don't have a lot of choices. But this was someone that I knew would be committed and look the part and understood the character in a deep way. So all of those things, I was like, okay, let's do our best and make it work. And now the two girls were actresses who had some training. They're not like they had done a bunch of big films or anything, but so I could speak their language pretty easily when we were just working together. We did a lot of rehearsing once again, because that's the beauty of a low budget movie. You set your own schedule, and you don't start making it until you think you're ready to start making it. So I just had them come over all the time, and we just kept rehearsing scene after scene for weeks. We would just do this.
Wow. So, I love that. I love that you embrace that rehearsal period point. That's something I think that is missing a lot of times. It's just like, let's just try and do it. And it's like, the more you can plan it out, the more like, when something obviously goes wrong, the generator goes out, no, it starts raining out of nowhere. What are we going to do? We don't have a tarp. The more things you can, get rid of, and just, I love
strict detailed planning. And we did it for, half a year or more. We did nothing but plan. Me and my DP, Doug Shannon, who's terrific. He's great and a good friend. And we're the same mindset. Sit down, shot this every single moment. Let's go to every location multiple times and look at it, where we're going to put each camera, where are we going to put each light. write it out in a big map. He draws all the maps with the location of every light. Then we do the blocking thing with every actor where they're going to be, every single scene, every single shot, every single placement of the camera, the whole script. And that's part of the planning that we did. So things go wrong. You just look at the blueprint and figure out where else we could shoot.
I love that.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.